Today we're diving into a security scandal that unfolded just days ago, and it's a big one. A Senate hearing was held after it came to light that members of the Trump administration, including high-level national security officials, used the encrypted app Signal to plan military operations in Yemen. That alone would be troubling enough, but it gets worse. They accidentally added journalist Jeffrey Goldberg to the group chat, and now Congress wants answers.
I want to go back to what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. The Houthis had this information, could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about this. Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not. Are you denying? Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat.
Okay, so that was the senator laying out the stakes, followed by Gabbard doing the classic no comment. Let's unpack this. First, the senator frames the issue around national security, which is fair. This wasn't just a text thread about lunch orders. This was about a real-time military operation involving classified-level planning. The use of Signal, even with its encryption, doesn't make it appropriate for this kind of sensitive discussion. According to the Wall Street Journal, Signal is not certified for government classified communications. That's strike one. Now, Gabbard's response: she leans on the internal review, which is her legal right. But she doesn't deny participating. That alone should raise eyebrows. Transparency is crucial here, especially for someone in charge of national intelligence.
You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Here's the problem. This wasn't some obscure mid-level staffer. This is the director of national intelligence refusing to clarify a basic yes or no question. The reason this is serious is because this is the same type of conduct that Trump's allies have hammered Democrats for. Remember the endless Benghazi hearings, Hillary's emails? Now suddenly encrypted Signal chats about active military strikes are no big deal. You can bet Fox News would be demanding resignations by now if the roles were reversed.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security Council.
Because it's all classified?
That's the first partial answer we've gotten. Gabbard claims that nothing classified was discussed. But here's the issue. According to The Atlantic, the actual chat included detailed information about target locations, weapons, and attack sequences. Even if the material wasn't formally classified, it's still sensitive operational intel. That's what national security protocols are for, to prevent this kind of stuff from being shared in casual, digital back channel.
Director Radcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a Signal messaging group.
So you were the John Radcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you.
Can I provide some context, Senator, to that?
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset you made a couple of comments about Signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Radcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement that Signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is.
I've got a series of
encryption. So to finish,
I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented
Director Ratcliffe.
My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with
So are
those
you saying
processes,
that-
and finally, just please, so my communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make
clear.
that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee.
Ah yes, the famous, "it's encrypted so it must be secure" defense. Director Ratcliffe seems to imply that Signal is suitable for sensitive government use because it's private. But here's the reality check. So is WhatsApp, so is Telegram, so is Facebook Messenger. All of them offer end-to-end encryption too. That doesn't make them secure platforms for discussing military operations. Encryption ensures privacy in transit, not proper access controls. That's why the government has dedicated certified systems for classified communications. Using Signal is like writing state secrets in invisible ink. Sure, it's clever, but it's still on a napkin. And again, the glaring issue here isn't just the tool, it's the culture of informality and recklessness. If high-level CIA and DoD officials are texting war plans to each other like fantasy football picks, we've got a bigger problem.
Let me go on. Director Gabbard, you are the security executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the Defense Secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a SCIF?
There was no classified material that was shared in that
So then
signal
if there was no
check.
classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question. If this was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with them?
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared in that
And if there's no classified materials, share. And then if there's no classified materials, then you can't even answer the question whether you're on the chat. This is strangely familiar, and I think my colleagues will remember, when you couldn't answer the question, is Edward Snowden a traitor? Man, I have serious doubts about anyway. Director Gabbard, I'm going to give you this. Tweeted just 11 days ago, and I'm quoting you. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. So if this information is classified, what are you going to do?
Senator, 2 points here. First of all, there's a difference between inadvertent release versus
Careless and sloppy.
malicious leaks of classified information. The second point is there was no classified information that was on
Then the
the
information
signal
committee
group
should get
chat.
that.
Translation: no. And that's incredibly troubling. Without that transcript, there's no accountability. The administration is effectively asking the public to take them at their word after they just accidentally texted war plans to a journalist. Reuters reports that bipartisan lawmakers are concerned about a broader pattern of secrecy and mismanagement in the Trump White House. This situation is Exhibit A.
Classified information that was on
Then the
the
information
signal
committee
group
should
chat.
get that information. Director
And the
Patel,
National Security
Director
Council
Patel,
was
my time's
reviewing
about out,
how
and I'm
this
going to use
occurred.
my 12 seconds up the chairman came. Director Patel, has the FBI launched any investigation of this?
Senator, I was just briefed about it late last night, this morning. I don't have an update.
I would like to get an answer by the end of the day.
This part of the hearing shows the limits of what the FBI director could or would say. Patel doesn't confirm there's a formal investigation, just that he was briefed on the situation, which, frankly, feels like a dodge. And that's a problem. If the FBI hasn't formally launched a counterintelligence review, why not? A journalist was accidentally included in a national security group chat. The fact that no one caught this until after sensitive information had already been shared is bad enough. The fact that the FBI doesn't appear to have a clear, active investigation is even worse. This highlights the broader dysfunction. Agencies aren't just misusing technology, they're failing to communicate, to respond swiftly, and to enforce basic security protocol. When the director of the FBI can't give a straight answer on whether they're investigating a potentially catastrophic breach, that's not procedural caution. That's institutional apathy. This isn't about one mistake. It's about a culture of complacency. It's about a pattern of dysfunction, from misusing apps to evading transparency, to now needing the FBI to clean it all up. So here's what we know. A real military op was coordinated over Signal, an app not cleared for this use. The chat was accidentally leaked to a journalist. Top officials, including the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, and others, are refusing to acknowledge basic responsibility. The FBI doesn't even seem to care enough to investigate what should never have happened in the first place. This isn't just sloppy, it's systemic, and it raises serious questions about how seriously this administration takes national security and democratic oversight. And let's be real, if this were a Democrat under Obama or Biden, conservatives would already be using the word treason. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should Congress subpoena the Signal logs? Should anyone resign? Don't forget to like and subscribe, because if we don't hold people in power accountable, encrypted or not, we're the ones who pay the price.